And now to get you more on this and a rounded perspective, I'm joined by Professor Abhijit Das, who's been the former head of WTO Center IIFT. Good afternoon, Dr. Das. Thank you so much for joining us at this evening broadcast. When we talk about this historic day, and we are calling it as the mother of all deals, tell us the trade benefits which both the sides will get.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me on your program. This indeed is truly a historic occasion. India and European Union have been negotiating this free trade agreement way back since 2007. They were near a deal in 2013, but thereafter the negotiations broke down. Now, what we have heard in the announcement today certainly gives hope that tariff on a large percentage of products traded by the two sides will be brought down to zero. So certainly there is an optimism with very strong foundations that the two-way trade between India and European Union is set to increase quite substantially. Linked to this is the reality that in sectors of our export interests which are labor intensive, we might get substantial market access, namely in sectors such as textiles and clothing, leather, gems and jewelry. So these really will be very big gains for India in merchandise trade. In services sector, we are awaiting further details, but one can be optimistic that through enhanced movement of professionals, our service-related exports will certainly see a bump. And in case, and that is a very big question mark there, in case we have succeeded in getting data adequacy status, then that could really impart a huge momentum to digitally delivered services from India to European Union. So overall, there is a good potential for the free trade agreement to be leveraged by both sides to increase bilateral trade, create jobs, enhance economic prosperity, and as was mentioned by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, a blueprint for joint prosperity. But we will really have to await the fine print, the legal details that will be made public after the legal scrubbing is over, and it will be only thereafter that the final text will be made available. We also have to recognize an important aspect that in these times of turbulence, this agreement gives a very strong, important signal to rest of the world. And that signal is the following. Some of the largest economies of the world can come together, negotiate new rules, and give a commitment that they will abide by these rules.
And also when we talk about India-EU FTA being the future-ready pact, how do you look at the various aspects that makes it really future-ready?
There we will have to await the fine print of the agreement. I would be a bit cautious in
I'll take you through
I'll
take you through some of the pointers that we are expecting, and we are talking about the future ready pact. One of them is the carbon support, that talks about the secure financial and technical support in the MSME industry to comply with the carbon requirement, which is one of them that makes it really future ready. And the second one being the high-tech alliance as well, because Prime Minister Narendra Modi in his joint presser also talked about cooperation in AI, clean tech and semiconductors. The third one here being the family rights, where it talks about the entry and working right for dependents. Looking at all these aspects, how do you look at the development and making it future ready?
Certainly, what you've pointed out does create a ground for optimism that the slew of pacts that have been announced today will deepen the partnership between India and European Union and maybe make it attuned to requirements of the future. But as I said, when it comes to the trade agreement per se, what are the provisions contained in the trade agreement will be different from what you've mentioned, and we will have to examine it through a different lens.
When we talk about not the trade agreement here per se, but the benefits that both the sides are getting, because we are talking about huge investment opportunities and how it will be future ready, a future pact. What are the various aspects that you see? Because there are other benefits to different sectors, not only the traders here. One is the student sector as well, and there is a student gateway which has been also announced. It was mentioned by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Ursula von der Leyen as well in the joint presser, which will ease the visa process, the working process as well. How do you look at this development?
Certainly a very hopeful signal, and it really is incumbent on our stakeholders, our interested parties, to take advantage of the opportunities that will be thrown open by many of these pacts which were announced today. So I remain very, very optimistic, very bullish.
Also, von der Leyen announced that the first EU legal gateway will be established in India. How important it becomes for the nation and especially the students here?
Certainly, it opens a window for reducing, I would say, uncertainty. But till we have more details, again, it is very, very difficult to pinpoint and say the different ways through which this will benefit. But no doubt there will be gains to be garnered from this legal gateway for Indian students. And one can only hope that our students are able to take advantage of this legal gateway.
Yes. And also for the benefit of our viewers, Professor Das, can you please tell us why are we continuously calling it as the mother of all deals?
Very simple. We have negotiated free trade agreements with UK, with Japan, with South Korea, with ASEAN. The GDP of none of those countries can match the GDP of European Union. So from that perspective, it is mother of all trade deals, and it also has some issues which are not covered by many other trade agreements. For example, issues such as sustainable food systems or even energy and natural resources. But what the contents of these two new areas are, we will have to again examine very cautiously, because what the European Union had demanded from India in these two areas could be a matter of concern.
Yes, for the benefit of our viewers, as we are continuously calling it as the mother of all deals, as termed by Ursula von der Leyen as well, time and again, how it is known as the mother of all deals? Because, first of all, it is catering to 25% of the global GDP. Secondly, it encompasses 1/3 of global trade. Third, it unlocks preferential access to $75 billion in export. And also, it also brings together the second and the fourth largest economies. This was also mentioned by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the President Ursula von der Leyen. Also, that how the two big democracies are coming together to create a historic day. Fourth, it abolishes tariff on 9,425 lines of Indian exports. This altogether makes it the mother of all trade deals. And as our esteemed guest also pointed out, that how important it becomes. But what are the next steps which are expected further? We have concluded the negotiations on the FTA, Professor Das, but what are the next steps now?
Next steps first will, of course, be legal scrubbing, whereby whatever ambiguities remain in the text will need to be ironed out in the line of what the negotiators had finalized. Once the legal scrubbing has been concluded, then that is the stage for signing of the agreement. This could take anywhere between 3 to 4 months. Once the agreement is signed, then both sides will have to go through the process of ratification. In India, the process of ratification is relatively simpler. It has to be just approved by the cabinet. Parliament has no role in it. But on the European Union side, it has to go through a ratification by each of the member states. So that can be a bit time consuming. And hence it is expected that the final agreement will start getting implemented maybe sometime next year.
And also we saw a very important picture, a show of strength when Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a photo up with both the EU leaders. How does that strengthen India's position at the diplomatic platform?
Oh, very, very substantially. India is looking for partners, not only in trade, not only in investment, but in remaking of the global order. And their European Union can play a very pivotal role. And we have to recognize that countries all over the world are trying to, well, reduce their reliance on United States, de-risk themselves from China. Then the question is, which is the natural partner for it? Answer is very simple. That picture which you alluded to provides the answer. It is India and European Union.
And also, at a lighter moment, when President Ursula von der Leyen mentioned that this comes at a very significant time when India celebrated Makar Sankranti. It was also a very historic moment for them to participate at the 77th Republic Day celebration. And also, this is perhaps for the first time happening that none of the country representative or the Prime Minister or President was invited, but the President and the members of the European Union, a 27-nation bloc, was invited to attend the 77th Republic Day celebrations. What sort of a message does that send to the world all across?
Very simple message. Cooperation leading to a rules-based system is the way for global prosperity, for economic development, for creating partnerships that can see or that can navigate through turbulent times. I think it also gives a huge message of hope and optimism in these troubled times.
It took a very long time to conclude the negotiations for the India-EU FTA. It started back in the year 2007. What took it so long? And especially, everything started perhaps in the past decade. The economy started growing and India has a further vision of becoming the third largest economy. But what have been the reasons for this?
I can only speculate. I do not have any inside information. But what I can recall is that in 2013, the negotiations broke down on a handful of issues. Number one, tariffs on wines and spirits, tariffs on automobiles, something related to government procurement, and the demand from the European Union side regarding more opening of services sector, particularly financial services sector. From India's side, one of the breaking point was data secure status, which European Union was not willing to extend to India. Subsequently, when the negotiations were relaunched in 2022, around that time, new issues such as labor, environment, gender, sustainable food systems, or even energy and natural resources, then issues around regulatory coherence, good regulatory practices. These injected further elements of complexities and technical difficulties in the negotiations. What might have concentrated minds towards the end is President Trump. That we cannot deny would have been an important element in concentrating minds and helping two sides to conclude negotiations earlier rather than postponing it to a later date.
And maybe also the vision of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi that helped in speeding up the entire process. And of course, the leadership of External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and his entire cabinet that led up to speed up the provisions, to speed up the possibilities of finalizing the negotiations on free trade agreement between India and the European Union. Thank you so much, Professor Das, for joining us and getting us all the latest that you had on this important developing day.